Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Well, 3 more days, that's all it is. 3 more days and we are heading west, we are heading up, and we are starting our camping adventure for the year. And you know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to meet up with some friends, going to meet up with some sponsors, and we're going to be headed to the Overland Expo Mountain West in Loveland, Colorado. If you've seen my previous video than this one, you may have seen that I was having trouble with my Predator 5000 gas generator. In fact, I am on my, not 1, not 2, but my 3rd Predator. That's right. The first one, it didn't run. It would run and then it would shut down about 2 minutes into it, and it wouldn't stay running. I tried everything. I've cleaned the spark arrestor. I've cleaned the carburetor. I've made sure the oil was good. The gas was fresh, and it would not idle. Well, it would not run, I should say, stay running. So that was taken back to Harbor Freight. Took that one back in. They exchanged it for a brand new one. Brought that home, put oil, put gas, had to set it up completely and ready to go. Well, it ran for about 4 hours, and I smelled fuel from inside the cabin. I couldn't figure out where that strong fuel smell was. Went out, checked the generator. I noticed there was a big wet spot of fuel underneath it. Shut it down, moved it to another location. I said, well, maybe it was just an overflow. Started back up. 10 minutes later, I smelled fuel. I went out, another wet spot, and I noticed the gas was down to half, and I filled it up maybe 15-20 minutes prior. I opened up the side panels, and fuel is just pouring out from the bottom of the carburetor to the overflow. I mean, it was a mess. So I shut it down, had to drain the fuel again, drain the oil, and I took it back to Harbor Freight. And this time that only lasted 1 day. So they went ahead and swapped it out again and gave me another new unit, brought it home, and it's running now with no issues. So for the break-in period, I'm going to remove that oil, put new fresh oil in there along with some additive, and we should be good to go. But during this whole scheme of issues with my gas generator, I received an email from a company called AiVolt, and they make generators. And I know about AiVolt because my buddy Brian Waters from Brian Waters Outdoors had one at the Gumbie gathering last year. And I noticed that it was a small generator, it was lightweight, it was quiet, and if you know Brian like I do, you know he is only going to review the best products out there for the money and the quality. So I knew that this generator was going to be great. So AiVolt reached out to me and asked me if I would like to try one of their generators, their 1600 watt generator. And I said, sure, why not? Because I knew Brian had one and I knew it was a great generator. But in the big scheme of things, they did not reach out to me because I was having problems with my Predator generator. It just happened to be on the same day that all the issues started. So let's go check it out. So this right here is the portable AiVolt AiGen 1600 generator. Now when I mean 1600, its max capacity, starting capacity is 1600 watts. Now when you talk about generators, a lot of folks saying, for example, I got a 3000 watt generator. Well, just remember that most of the generators, or even all the generators, that is the max starting load. So for example, my 5000 watt Predator can handle up to 5,000 watts maximum load on startup, and it'll hold that for a little bit. But the running watts, continuous running watts, is 3,900-ish watts. So continuously, I'm going to be able to pump in 3,900 watts. So I'll get 1,600 on startup, but it'll maintain a constant 1,260 watts. And that's plenty, because this thing is lightweight, small, and I'll be able to charge my equipment such as my power station, my cell phones, laptops, and other electronics that don't require a lot of wattage. Now, the reason why I'm taking this on my journey across the United States, because I may encounter inclement weather. And when I don't have sun, my solar panels cannot charge my lead time system back here. I can charge my power station, my Blue Eddy Elite 200, using the AiVolt AGen 1600. And for today's video, it is sponsored by AiVolt. So we want to thank AiVolt for sending us the 1600 for testing and review. Now let me tell you about this generator right here. First of all, after I tell you all the features and specifications, you're going to be impressed on the price point of this thing for what it has. Now, like I mentioned, it's 1600 max watts coming down to 1260 continuous watts. Now this thing is super quiet. I mean, it is quiet. And it does have an built-in inverter. Now, if you watch my previous video, I talk about inverters on that generator. Now, when I mentioned that this has an inverter, let me tell you what inverter is and how it works, just in case you haven't seen my other video. Now, there are 3 stages of the inverter process. First of all, you're going to get a gas engine to mechanical power. So the gasoline engine turns on the alternator or generator head, producing electricity. Then you go from AC to DC, and the generator's initial AC or alternating current electricity is converted into DC, direct current power. Then it takes the DC and AC through the inverter. The inverter electronics take that DC power and electronically recreate 120 volts AC power at precise and precision 60 hertz for your appliances. An inverter generator can vary engine speed depending on how much electricity or load you are using. For example, small loads, engine slows down, less fuel is used. You do a large load, the engine speeds up and more power is produced. Now, without an inverter, you would get the hunting up and down, high RPMs, low RPMs. The inverter, it will stay at that load and keep the RPM steady. Now, the changing loads, the electronics maintain a stable output. The inverter circuitry is what allows the engine speed and the electrical output frequency to be separated. Now, why are inverter generators popular? Because the output is generally a very clean sine wave, like I said, which is beneficial for sensitive equipment such as computers, TVs, battery chargers, phones, modern refrigerators, solar battery equipment such as lithium, and some variable speed motors. So when you see a generator advertised as an inverter generator, it doesn't mean the gasoline engine itself is producing DC. It means that the generator converts and electronically reconstructs the AC or alternating current before supplying it to your equipment. And typically, generators with an inverter are going to be a little bit more in price than one without. So when you purchase your AiVolt AGen 1600, you're going to get a funnel. This thing is pretty awesome. Now I'll show you how we are going to use this funnel, because we have to add oil, and we're going to add some Marvel Mystery Oil or some motor treatment oil for this. You're also going to get a little carrying bag, and in there you're going to get a this wrench or socket wrench is for the spark plug. And then of course you're going to get a screwdriver. You're going to get the operation manual, and you're going to get the 26-pound generator itself. Now let's look at the control. Now right off the bat on the top, it'll tell you peak watts are 1600 and running watts is 1260. So let's look at the control panel right here. Right here it says peak watts 1600 and running watts 1260. The 1600, like I mentioned, is rated for maximum starting capacity, surges, and 1260 is your continuous. So when I hook up my Blue Eddy Elite V200, I'm going to have to adjust my amp settings on the power station to come down to about 5 amps, so I stay under this 1260 watts. If I have it at 10 or even 15 amps, it'll exceed this running watts and shut this unit down. So just be aware of that. You do have 3 lights here. You have output, overload, and oil. While the generator is running in a proper configuration, you'll have a green light that stays lit. If you exceed that 1260, you are going to get a overload light, which will be in red, and as well as the oil light when you get a low oil level. So these two will shut down your generator. You do have a DC, 5-volt USB-A and USB-C there. Here on the right-hand side, you have 120-volt AC, and this is 20 amp. You have two of them. Okay. Here you have your parallel connect. So if you want to connect more than one of these generators in parallel, this is where you do it. Now I won't have to ever use this in parallel because this is just for my smaller equipment. Here you do have a ground, and then you got your reset, and then your CO safeguard monitoring system right here. If this produces or have a high level concentrations of carbon monoxide, which is the silent killer, this light will illuminate and it will shut the system down. You do have an eco mode right here, on and off, and you do have your engine on off to start. So that's pretty simple as far as the control panel. And of course you have some vents on the bottom to keep it running cool. On the side, you do have what they call a fuel switch, on and off. Now, when you're running your generator, you want to have this in the on position. The cool thing about this switch is when you're ready to shut this generator down, all you have to do is switch this fuel selector to off. Here, you do have your cover plate. This is your choke and your start selector run switch. So, before you start, you will place this in the start position. And then as soon as it starts running, you can go ahead and shift it over to the run right here. You do have a pull cord here, and then this plate cover will come off, and I'll show you that in a little bit. And of course, you have your vented fuel cap, and it does have a filter in there. And on the top of the fuel cap, like I said, it's vented. So you have your on-off cap. Make sure it's in the on position so you got airflow. So let's go ahead and open the panel with the screwdriver provided. And this is where we're going to add oil and all that good stuff. Okay. Now this right here is your carburetor breather. We'll take that off, and it should have a foam filter in this housing. It is held together with two screws, one here and one there. Okay. Like I said, this is it right here. Now, this foam piece is used to catch any kind of debris before entering the carburetor, but you have to oil this up, and it is dry. There is no oil on here, so I will show you how to oil this up as well. Here you do have your oil dipstick, and this is where the reservoir is to fill up your oil. Top, you do have this removable cover, and if you look right there, that is the spark plug, and it has a rubber cap. So you remove the rubber cap, remove the spark plug connector there, and then you can insert your spark plug wrench into the system and remove your spark plug. Now, I'm not going to remove the spark plug. I saw and looked it up. They do have a really good spark plug in here. If not, you can replace it with like an NGK or anything like that, but the spark plug is high quality. It's not a cheap spark plug. Now, before we add our oil and additive in here, I just want to tell you about the engine capacity. Okay, this is a 60 cc engine. The oil type that you can put in here is going to be 10W30, and I have some of that right here, some 10W30, and I'm also going to add a little bit of Marvel Mystery Oil right here. This is a fuel and motor treatment, improves compression, power, and lubricates the upper cylinders for smooth idling. So this is some great stuff, and you just need to put just a little bit. So first thing I want to do is I want to lubricate the sponge. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour a little bit of oil into this bag, just a little, as 50 Cent said, just a little bit. And then we're going to just pour some in just like that. We're going to cover your oil, because with my luck I would have spilt it all over the back of my truck. And then in the bag you're just going to kind of smear. I did this with my Predator 5000, just like that. And you could use any bag, Ziploc, and then you place your sponge in there, and then you're just going to rub it through there. Give it a good rub. That didn't sound too good. Okay, and then you're going to take your sponge and put it back on here. And who is texting me? And then we can replace our cover. Okay, I thought I was going to need a funnel, but I guess I don't. And like I said, this thing's only hold a little over half. Okay. Now let's go ahead and put our cover back on and make sure we got it in the on position. Let's start our generator. First thing you want to do is make sure you have your on-off switch on. That's on. Gas cap is in the on vented position. Fuel switch is on. And your choke is in the start position. And what I do is I'll just run it through, just get some oil flowing, just lubricate some of the components. Look at that. And place this in the run position. Man, that thing is quiet, man. And there it is. I mean, look at that. We have no lights. We have no lights, or except the run light. We have no overload. The oil's good, and our hour gauge or hour meter is starting to run. I like that, because then I know how many hours I've got on my generator. But man, that is so quiet. Clean. So now we're going to get my Elite 200 power station by Blue Eddy. We're going to set it up here. We're going to plug it in and see what kind of charging we got. So before I start, I'm going to adjust the amperage on my Blue Eddy app. And let's see. Okay, so we are at our Elite 200, and go to settings, advanced settings. Okay, I'm at 10 amps right now. Let's go down to 5 for starters. Okay, and then we'll plug this in and see what kind of wattage we're pulling. Okay, we're pulling 603. Okay, I got it running in the eco mode, so we should be able to save some fuel. So let's come back and check in an hour and see how the power station is at. We're at 14% right now, and that's an awesome generator, small and compact. Now we're gonna fire up our big boy here in just a second, but man, I'm impressed with that AiVolt. So we'll be back in an hour. And that's an awesome generator, small and compact. What do I think about this generator right here, the AiVolt AiGen 1600? Well, for $279, you can't go wrong for a generator with an inverter built in. And, you know, something this light and this small just to throw in the back of your truck or your trunk of your vehicle. I mean, it's pretty awesome. And yes, there are larger generators that you can get, but I think, like I said, for the size and the weight, it's perfect for the back of the vehicle. And, you know, this is going to be a great addition to our trip out west here in the next couple days. So anyway, so if you got any questions, pop them in the box below and I'll answer them the best I can. I'll put the links and description of the AiVolt in there as well. And if I can save you guys some money, if I can get an affiliate code, I'll get that and put it in there as well to save you a couple dollars. But for $279, can't go wrong. So until the next video, this is Ben with my AiVolt generator out.